Hi everyone, I'm Jack Crawford, and it's time to review Card of Darkness by Zach Gage. This was a collaboration between Zach and Pendleton Ward, the creator of Adventure Time, as well as Choice Provisions, the studio behind the Bit Trip games. Card of Darkness caught me off guard because I've always enjoyed Zach's games, but they're usually quite simple, at least on the surface. This is a much more ambitious and complex design, and I absolutely love it. But it doesn't hit you in the face with all that complexity immediately, it ramps up slowly as more cards are introduced. And there's a single tutorial level where this happy staircase explains the basics very quickly. The goal of each level is to clear a path to the exit through stacks of cards. Monster cards hurt you, potion cards heal you, treasure cards give you gold. But it's the cleverly designed weapon system that makes this game special. Weapons reduce damage from monster cards, but they also break if you pick up a monster card with non-matching parity, an even value when your weapon is odd, or vice versa. The game does so much with this one simple concept. Monsters have abilities, and most of these affect parity in some way. There are monsters whose values change based on your health, or your weapon, or how many potions are face up. There are a bunch of weapon types and potion types too, and all of this gives you more control. Understanding these mechanics allows you to deal with the insane randomness of this game and get good use out of your weapons. This is that rare breed of game where I sometimes look at a level and think, are you seriously doing this to me, dude? Then I come up with a crazy Hail Mary plan and end up somehow making it out alive, laughing and feeling like a mad scientist. I can't emphasize enough how crazy the levels get. Cards are introduced that affect the game in increasingly bizarre ways and force you to think differently. Confusion, for instance, is not just about memorizing the current layout. It's about understanding the full possibility space of the mechanics so that even when everything changes while you're confused, you can still take calculated risks and survive. There's one more card type I haven't mentioned: spells. You have to use a spell once to identify it, like in many roguelikes. Often you'll be hoping for something simple and helpful, but you'll get something absolutely horrifying. What's amazing is that often these horrifying spells end up saving your life. The ambition spell marks every stack, meaning you'll have to clear every single card. This is extremely scary, but it also shows you every stack, which empowers you more than you may expect and encourages you to cook up some brilliant plans. The identification system forces you to experience these exciting twists. You can't just use the spells that seem good and avoid the ones that seem bad. You have to take a risk and discover for yourself that many of these spells aren't quite what you expected. For example, the obvious use of increment is on a potion or a weapon, but when testing a spell, I accidentally incremented an enemy. My initial reaction was that this was terrible, but it actually fixed the parity so I could get rid of the enemy without breaking my weapon. I love little surprises like that, and they're everywhere in Card of Darkness. This game sometimes challenges your most deeply ingrained ideas about how it works. Often something that seems obviously good can be situationally bad, and vice versa. It may seem obviously good to have a weapon, but what if my fist attack is upgraded so that the weapon is actually making me weaker and I have no way to get rid of it? It may seem obviously bad to use a reduce spell to destroy a weapon, but what if that weapon is in my way and I don't want to pick it up because I have a much stronger one? This game reminds me of Magic the Gathering, in that the complexity comes from all the potential combinations of cards and the ways they interact. But here, the combinations are curated so that each level is an interesting new challenge. This gives each area its own distinct flavor, since each area focuses on a relatively small set of cards. That made the game as a whole feel like an epic adventure, which worked well with the story. It's a standard epic fantasy adventure story, but the writing manages to strike a tone that makes it feel fresh, especially at the end. It also fits in with the goofy art style and the little bit of crude humor. The artwork and animations are fantastic, and they always support the gameplay first and foremost. The animations when picking up cards are very quick to keep the game moving at a nice pace. And I suspect it's no coincidence that the most comical moment is when you die. Failure feels way less punishing when you're laughing. Also, the excellent synth-heavy soundtrack by Stemage is so warm and cozy that it's hard to be mad at the game, even when you get incredibly unlucky. The music starts out simple and catchy and gets progressively weirder along with the game mechanics. And importantly, it always feels good as background music when you're focusing on getting through a level. I also appreciate how the shop song and the map song are very similar but with different instrumentation, and the game switches seamlessly between them. So you get a sillier vibe in the shop, but without a jarring track change. The audio design overall is great. One enemy late in the game felt so menacing because of the way it revealed combined with its sound. The least exciting element of this game is the Cards of Darkness, which is funny considering the title. These are helpful bonuses that you can switch out between levels, but a few of them were powerful enough that I never felt the need to change them. Most of the options with a random element seem weak because you can't account for them in your decision making without taking a pretty big risk. Then there are a bunch of them that are just too situational, like +1 to a specific type of weapon. I could see some of these being useful if you're stuck on one particular level, but for me they were just extra things to scroll through. Instead of one card per level, I would have preferred one at the end of every area, plus the ones on optional paths. Then they could have kept only the best ideas. I also wasn't a big fan of the difficulty curve. Toward the end, it felt like the game lowered its expectations for me, and I didn't have to understand the new cards quite as well. It wasn't a huge deal though, because those areas were still super fun to play. It was amazing seeing how absurd the card combinations could get. The bigger pain point was the early game. The basic mechanics clicked for me pretty quickly, so the first few areas felt a bit slow. But that could certainly be seen as a good thing. I think anyone can get into this game and enjoy it without any experience playing similar games. This is one of my favorites of 2019, and I highly recommend it to everyone. This game captures the unique spirit of the very best roguelikes, while being exponentially more accessible than any of them. That is quite a feat of game design. And I'm giving Card of Darkness an 8 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you think of this one. Pro tip, you can get a free trial for Apple Arcade, so no excuses, everyone has to play this. Also, I'm sorry Android people for doing another iOS game. Anyway, I'm spending the next couple months catching up on 2019 stuff I missed, so feel free to suggest any 2019 games. Also, check out my other videos if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.